was uh, what is wrong with China? Is that correct? That is what I was given. Okay. I'll speak about China. China and India have been neighbors for thousands of years, at least 2000, most probably close to 2800 years. And the relationship between India and China was never hostile. There was never a single battle till 1962. India was the giver and China was the taker, at least till about 1200 AD, when Muhammad Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chavan and crowned himself as the Badshah of India in 1192 in Delhi Red Fort. So, I mean, the Delhi area, which is now in the Red Fort. So, therefore, India began to decline as an economic power after that and slowly started coming down in GDP, per capita income, and things like that. And by comparison, China started to go ahead. And by 1730, China was ahead of India and remained so till the British came, and that made the gap even wider. But in China, there was no foreign control. There were foreign presence who extracted money from the king of what was the emperor of China. And and they sold goods from India like opium and things like that. And basically, the resources, unlike in India, where the British took out the resources from India, they didn't take the resources out of India, except they sold whatever they wanted to sell. Now, why I'm giving you this background is that India and China had first a relationship where we were the teachers. And in 1936, a very famous scholar of China called Dr. Hu Shi, who was the president of Beijing University, or Peking University it's called, who was invited by Harvard University in 1936 to speak on a topic of his interest for China. And you'll be surprised, and you can get this in Google, if you type Hu, who, S-H-I-H, Shi, and the topic is the Indianization of China, a case of peaceful borrowing. What happened is that Buddhism, which originally was a very strict Buddhism, but then when Mahayana Buddhism came, it was almost like Hinduism. And that went across to China. And we had monks who went to China. Bodhidharma went from Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu, and he set up an ashram in Shaolin, and he taught them what was called wushu, which translated in Japanese meant karate, and that is now come back to India. We Indians are saying, I'm learning karate. Actually, karate was invented in India. So we have forgotten our relationship, what it was. After 1950, the Chinese government was taken over by the communists, and India had become free in 1947. And Jawaharlal Nehru began, by then Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated by 1950, Sardar Patel had died, and so Jawaharlal Nehru became a de facto dictator of India. And he started announcing policies without regard to party and parliament and so on. And one of the policies he announced is, we shall befriend China, and we will treat them as brothers and sisters. So Hindi Chini Bye Bye was a slogan that was utilized. During this period, China had been destroyed by Japanese war, World War II, and they was in a very bad shape. But because they became communist, Soviet Union, which was now only the small part now survives, which is called Russia, they gave a lot of assistance, and China began to develop economically. And during the 1950s, they never let know their real true intention towards India. And Jawaharlal Nehru thought that India and China, like in the history, will be friends and we will dominate the world. But he was wrong, because China was just recovering and then plotting. First thing they wanted to do is take over Tibet. And Jawaharlal Nehru agreed that Tibet is a part of China. So today you may have a resolution saying Tibet should be liberated and all that, but it is we who said Tibet is part of China. And China gobbled it up. When NDA of Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government came in 1999, in 2003, Vajpayee went to Beijing and he also signed a treaty that Tibet is part of China. So when today many people say we should recognize Tibet, you first please note that you will have to scrap these two treaties. And then which one by Jawaharlal Nehru, one by Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So therefore my plea to all Indians is, let us concentrate on recovering our proper territory, which China has swallowed in Aksai Chin, in Arunachal. So let's solve this problem instead of thinking of the bigger problem whether Taiwan should be independent, Tibet should be independent, how we should deal with China's relations with Japan, or China's relations XYZ, so on. I think the main problem is today China feels threatened by India's economic growth in the last 20 years. After Narasimha Rao became Prime Minister, our growth rate started expanding. 8-9% was not difficult for us. China's growth rate was very high in 1980s and 1990s, but in 2000 onwards, growth rate started slowing down to 6%. And so we began to overtake China. And there was a feeling that India is also a big population. In fact, our population is growing faster than China's, because China has very got strict family planning rules. So our population may overtake China in size of population in China by 2025. But GDP is also closing the gap. So today China has decided that we shall somehow again do a 1962 and humiliate India. And therefore, they are now laying claims to Aksai Chin is already with them as a disputed territory. But Ladakh is with us. So now they have come across the line which was decided in 1993, called the Line of Actual Control, LAC. And they have crossed it and have occupied territory in India. Some newspapers say thousands per kilometers. And we haven't got an official statement yet. So what is China up to? It is trying to show all our neighborhood that India is no match for China. So you better be with us. In that, Nepal is already capitulated. Pakistan is already with China. Sri Lanka has stood alone and said, no, we are with India. India is our first preference. It is our closest neighbor. And then other countries will come. But Bangladesh is also... So India's problem with China, and what is wrong with China is slowly capturing the attention of all our neighbors. And we are getting isolated in our own area. So what should we do? We should therefore, what we have to do is first of all, improve our economy. I'm sorry to say, because we have followed wrong policies, and even though I'm in BJP, I have to say it because I'm also a professor of economics. I can't be disloyal to my subject. Since 2015, in our desire to create supplies, to increase our capacity of supply, we forgot that there is another part to economics that is called demand. So unless we put money into the hands of the people to go and buy, what is the use of creating supply? We found now in more automobile showrooms, cars are lying unpurchased. Their excess capacity, many industries are closing down because of excess capacity. So, therefore, this is why from 2015 our economy started going down. And some of the measures was not properly analyzed and then implemented. For instance, demonetization and then GST. These have also created problems. So today, our after Corona came, the world's largest fall in GDP is India's of 29.4% minus, and may continue next year also. So therefore, economically today, we are fallen behind China in a big way. And so we have to deal with it. Corona virus definitely came from China, but let me tell you also that Tata Institute of Fundamental Research also participated in that research along with the US Army. So it's no use saying this is China created, because we were also part of the research team. It is a terrible thing that has happened. We cannot take measures like China, which were very brutal, and therefore China has more or less solved its coronavirus problem. We are a democratic country, so America is a democratic country. America has huge number of cases, plus in millions of people dying. India is approaching that level now quite rapidly. So the lack of lack of imposing we cannot impose military discipline. Therefore, we have to go by pleading with people and so on. So you see a situation where you are like that. China is definitely interested in taking the entire Ladakh area as part of China. China is interested in taking Arunachal also completely. They say that, no, in the old days, Tibet owned Arunachal. So the records are never clear. Unfortunately, Jawaharlal Nehru, before handing over Tibet to China, should have said, first agree to the border, then only we'll hand over Tibet to you, or allowed you to take over Tibet. But that we did not do. So the problem is our inability to understand the mind of China. We think that if they speak nicely, then they are going to be nice to us. Prime Minister Modi had interacted with Xi Jinping 18 times alone. Sometimes in Beijing, sometimes in Ahmedabad, sometimes in Mahabalipuram near Chennai. And he had no idea that this man one day will order his troops to attack us. So you have to understand China's mind. And for that, we need a large number of scholars who know Chinese language, who know Chinese history, and see how they regard us. They, on one hand, show a lot of superiority complex about us. At the same time, internally, they know our history, that we dominated China. We went to Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Cambodia, Vietnam. They all were, had accepted our culture. Even China accepted their own great scholar Hu Shi has said. So we must now prepare our economy to become very strong. And we should spend large amounts on military. We should interact with those countries which are similar thinking. United States is a democratic country, but it has interests. It was in Afghanistan and they were getting tired. They wanted us to send troops to Afghanistan and take the place of the American troops. And they said, we will give you any weapons you want free of charge. But we said, no, we don't send troops outside our country. So now America is relying on Pakistan to help them in Afghanistan. So we need also a new national security doctrine, international, how to deal with it. That's why I'm glad you had a session on Baluchistan, because in my opinion, last time after the Bangladesh war, we made Pakistan into two. Now we are in a position to make the remaining Pakistan, which I call as Pakistan, Baki, jo Baki hai, Pakistan, into four: Baluchistan, Pakistan, Sindh, and Western Punjab. These four, Pakistan can be broken up. And so we must, instead of thinking of big things like, Hong Kong and Taiwan and Manchuria and so on, we should think of our neighborhood and secure it. And one of the ways to secure it is is to carry out division of Pakistan. If Pakistan can send terrorists into India, we have every right to retaliate by liberating country. Baluchistan was never part of Pakistan. It was forcibly taken over by Pakistan after 1947, and we didn't do anything about it. And we must get back Kashmir. We have started the process by removing Article 370, and then POK that we'll do, and then of course so there's nothing wrong with China, except that China has a superiority complex about us. 1962 they defeated us. They think they can do it again. We have to therefore remove this from their mind by giving them a big defeat, by making them leave the portions which they have now occupied in Ladakh. That is the way to proceed. And we must know their culture, we must know their language, we must know their history. Then only we can fight them. Just vague instance, the Chinese are inscrutable people, we don't understand them. You must learn to understand them. They are people who can be our friends. They were friends for 2,500 years. Never a single. Whole of Europe was fighting every year. Either France with Germany, Germany with Norway, like that. But not India and China. So what has gone wrong? It is our lack of understanding of the new China headed by a communist party. And we must make sure that they understand our power, and we must demonstrate it. That is the way to rectify what is wrong with China, but more is important to know what is right with India before we can deal with what is wrong with China.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy, for this insightful talk. Also, guys, anyone who's interested in China, learning Chinese, now we know where probably our future job lies, which is more helpful now. So, Swamiji has even given us job prospects in like 10 minutes. Thank you, Swamiji. So, before we get to the declaration of the results, I would like to announce the EB because we did take their names, but we didn't see them on screen. So we wouldn't have accomplished the 2 days without the chairing of the executive board of the committees. Hence, I request the executive board to switch on your cameras so Swamiji can see you and I can introduce the chairs and the vice chairs. So if any of the chairs and the vice chairs are here, please switch on your cameras. I'll just be reading your names out. For United Nations Security Council, we had Chair Razol Porewal and Co-Chair Shivansh Bagadia with Preeti Upala ma'am as the Honorary Chair. For United Nations Human Rights Council, we had Chair Anirudh Bharadwaj, Co-Chair Harinur Jam, Advisor Pratik Irpadgire with Priyanka Dev ma'am as the Honorary Chair. For Lok Sabha, we had Speaker Akshat Trivedi and Deputy Speaker Yamika Khanna with Rahul Chaudhary ji as the Honorary Chair. For War Cabinet, we had Chair Pradyum Malpani, Advisor Drishti, with with Honorary Chair Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha ji. Also, for the committees and structural recommendations, I thank Arnav Bansali. Now, to the moment we are all waiting for, that is the announcement of the results. After 2 days of hard work, extensive research, and enriching discussions, it is now time to appreciate the delegates that have worked or done exceptionally well in the committees. I would like to call upon Ganesh Durrao ji, our national in charge of Think India, to declare the results and share with us the outcome of the committees. Ganesh ji, over to you.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. बेसिकली मॉडल यूनाइटेड नेशंस थिंक इंडिया के माध्यम से करने का ये जो एक प्रयास है वो इसी के कारण है कि बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि जो हम सोचते हैं कि एक इंटेलेक्चुअल कैपेसिटी हमारे लोगों में एक तैयार कर रहे हैं, एक डिबेटिंग कल्चर हमारे हमारे बीच में तैयार हो और ये नेशनल इंटरेस्ट के कुछ विषय और इंटरनेशनल इंटरेस्ट के विषय हमें लेना चाहिए, इसलिए इन सारे विषयों को यहाँ पर लिया गया और बहुत अच्छा डिस्कशन हुआ है। बहुत बार जब हम सोचते हैं, देखते हैं कि ऐसे ऐसे विषयों के ऊपर होते हैं ये सारे विषय। तो कभी कभी लगता है ये हम रियली हम इस चीज के ऊपर हमें ध्यान देना चाहिए या नेशनल इंटरेस्ट के इश्यूज के ऊपर ध्यान देना चाहिए। So that Think India has taken this initiative, and Think India has previously also actually organized one debate competition and a youth parliament. And in that actually in that youth parliament हमने एक जो विषय लिया कि भारत का रिनेमिंग इंडिया एज भारत, ये इसके ऊपर भी लोग एक डिस्कशन, बहुत बड़ा डिस्कशन हुआ, 3 दिन डिस्कशन हुआ और उसमें रिनेमिंग इंडिया एज भारत इसके ऊपर बिल भी थिंक इंडिया के माध्यम से प्रिपेयर किया गया, सो दैट रिक्लेमिंग अवर ओन हिस्ट्री, जैसे सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी सर ने कहा कि व्हाट इज राइट विथ अस, उसके ऊपर हमें जो ध्यान देना चाहिए, उसके ऊपर भी हमें एक्चुअली हम इसलिए थिंक इंडिया काम कर रहा है बेसिकली। तो ज्यादा समय न लेते हुए मैं रिजल्ट्स अनाउंस करता हूँ। यूनाइटेड नेशंस सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल काउंसिल के जो बेस्ट डेलीगेट है वो है यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका। आपको बधाई। हाई कमेंडेशन पीपल्स रिपब्लिक ऑफ चाइना, एंड थर्ड वर्बल मेंशन श्रीलंका, इंडोनेशिया। इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा डिस्कशन डिबेट किया है, इनको बहुत बहुत बधाई। जो वॉर कैबिनेट में थे और जिनको बेस्ट डेलीगेट प्राइज मिला है वो है डिफेंस मिनिस्टर। हाई कमेंडेशन जिनको मिला है वो है होम सेक्रेटरी एंड कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी, बहुत बड़ा रोल इन्होंने प्ले किया है। एंड थर्ड वर्बल मेंशन है होम मिनिस्टर सर का। थैंक यू, बहुत बहुत बधाई सबको। और यूएनएचआरसी में जो बिल पास जो डिस्कशन हुआ उसके बेस्ट डेलीगेट जो विनर है द डेलीगेट ऑफ इंडिया। हाई हाई कमेंडेशन प्राइज जो जाता है वो द डेलीगेट ऑफ चाइना। एंड द वर्बल एप्रिसिएशन जो है बहुत अच्छा, जिन्होंने इस ओवरऑल डिस्कशन में पार्ट लिया है वो है द डेलीगेट ऑफ ताइवान, द डेलीगेट ऑफ ब्राजील, द डेलीगेट ऑफ स्पेन, द डेलीगेट ऑफ तिबेट। ये इन चारों ने बहुत अच्छा इसमें डिस्कशन में पार्टिसिपेट किया, बहुत बहुत बधाई। और जो लोकसभा के जो रिजल्ट्स हैं वो मैं अनाउंस करता हूँ। बेस्ट पार्लियामेंटेरियन निर्मला सीतारमन एंड अधीर रंजन चौधरी। हाई कमेंडेशन प्राइजेस जिनको मिला है वो है इंद्र इंदिरा हांग सुब्बा एंड रमेश पोखरियाल निशंक, इनको मिला है। एंड वर्बल मेंशन जाता है भगवंत मान एंड सुदीप बंडोपाध्याय। तो आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई है। और थिंक इंडिया के माध्यम से हम बहुत सारे इश्यूज के ऊपर हम आने वाले समय में काम करेंगे, देश को नई दिशा देंगे। और मैं ये मानता हूँ जैसे एक व्यक्ति भी है ना पूरे देश का जो नैरेटिव है चेंज करने के लिए काम कर सकता है, एक व्यक्ति भी पूरी दुनिया को चेंज करने की ताकत रखता है। बस अपने आप को जानिए, खुद को जानिए और मेहनत कीजिए, यू कैन चेंज द वर्ल्ड। इतनी क्षमता, जैसे स्वामी जी कहते हैं ना, बी एंड मेक, अगर इस प्रोसेस से अगर हम जाएंगे तो हम जरूर, हम जो भारत की जो परंपरा है उसको हम जरूर, हम पूरे देश, पूरे विश्व को एक शांति का संदेश, और शांति का संदेश वही दे सकता है जो मजबूत हो, जिसके पास मिलिट्री पावर हो, जिसके पास क्षमता हो, जिसके पास ताकत हो, उसी का ही मानते हैं। अगर कमजोर व्यक्ति कोई शांति का संदेश देता है तो वो बोलता है कि ये तो कमजोर है इसलिए शांति का संदेश दे रहा है। जब जब कोई मजबूत होता है और वो शांति का संदेश जब देता है तब सारे लोग सुनते हैं। महावीर की बात क्यों सुनते हैं लोग? क्योंकि महावीर जो थे वो सबसे महावीर थे, उनके पास बहुत क्षमता थी, ताकत थी, इसलिए उनको नमन है। कमजोर व्यक्ति को कभी नमन नहीं किया जाता। इसलिए भारत को हमें मजबूत बनाना है, आगे बढ़ाना है और विश्व गुरु बनाना है। इसी एक दो शब्दों के साथ मैं आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं। और सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी सर आए यहाँ पर, और आप हमेशा ही थिंक इंडिया के प्लेटफॉर्म पर आते हैं और विद्यार्थियों का मार्गदर्शन करते हैं, हमें आपकी बहुत अच्छे अच्छे आइडियाज शेयर करते हैं इसके बारे में, हमें बहुत अच्छा लगता है। ये आपको फिर हम बुलाएंगे, आप फिर से हमारे विद्यार्थी कार्यकर्ताओं के साथ बार बार मिलिए जुलिए। धन्यवाद। थैंक यू सर।
धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Ganesh ji. Yes. Thank you, Ganesh ji, for those encouraging words. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the organizing committee of the Think India Model United Nations, and I request them to switch on their cameras. Delegate Affairs, Mansi Desai and Asha Singh. Secretariat, Pradyum Malpani, Rugved Upadhyay. Content and International Press, Brunmay Chitre, Garima Trivedi, and Ananya. I thank you all here, and I thank Subramanian Swamiji. As Ganesh ji said, you're always here with us. It's very encouraging to see you, and it really gives us the inspiration to go forward with what we believe in. Because for youth like us, you. I think you've made it possible for us to actually connect with you, and it's. I can't thank. I don't know how to thank you enough, but really,
Okay.
thank you. So, as I said, this experience has definitely inspired the leader within us. We hope that we all keep on following the path of righteousness, keep on seeking excellence in whatever we do, and keep on contributing towards nation building. I thank you all. Thank you all for looking at this valedictory ceremony, and see you soon. See you soon, everyone. Thank you.
Good. See you.
See you, sir.
Okay.